So Never Have I Ever pretty much became an instant hit when it debuted a few years ago. Why do you think this show has resonated so much with viewers and audiences of all stripes? Maitreyi, I'll start with you.
Well, I think the beauty of the show is just how human the characters are. They're so human, and the writing room, bless their souls, they really write from their own experience. And because of that, they're of all different backgrounds, identities, and ethnicities. And that shows in the writing and it shows in our performances. And regardless if you're a young South Asian woman or, you're anything else, you can relate to the human aspects of not only Devi, but all the complex characters that are filled with such nuance. I mean, I'm so proud that I get to be a part of a show that has such a diverse audience. That is truly, it warms my heart. Yeah.
Richa, what about you?
I would have said the same thing. When you write from a place of truth and of personal experience, there's no other way for it to go but to transcend language and cultural barriers. I mean, people watch this show in different languages, not even our voices, and they still love it just as much. And that, to me, that just shows that, just like Maitreyi said, you don't have to be South Indian South Indian, and that's another thing. It's so specific, not just Indian, it's a South Indian family. It's that specific.
Yeah.
Shout out to all the South Indians in here.
Shout out Tamil people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot where I was going with that, but, basically what I was saying is that when, it's that specificity and that nuance, and that's the reason why people have resonated with it all over the world.
Just to let you know, by the time you get to me, I've totally forgotten the question. But I think I know what you said, what you asked. Two things. One is Mindy and Lang set out to write a story about a teenager who had lost a parent. And Mindy and Lang had both lost, Mindy's lost her mom and Lang had lost her dad. And they are, it's always unbelievable to me to always hear that there's so many writers in the writer's room who's lost a parent and how they're still grieving, years later, 10, 15 years later, how the grief process has informed so much of who they are and who they become. And this is one of the best, I think it's the edgiest YA show, young adult show that Netflix has, but it's also, for me, one of the best anatomies of grief portrayed on television. And season 4 is about letting go of grief. But what I love about it is that it's not an active process of letting go. The characters realize that grief has let go of them, which is actually how grief works. You can't do that. It'll take its time and do its thing. So I think it resonated with not only teenagers, but people across the board. We have so many comments of mothers watching this with their daughters and families watching their kids, because it has young adult themes, but also very, very intense, profound adult themes.
I did want to ask you about that, actually. So this is a perfect segue. We were talking about this with some of the attendees who are here tonight, too. I know a lot of people from the South Asian community are here tonight, and this is absolutely a celebration of the barrier breaking that this show has done. I know people are here with their children. Some are teenagers. Some are not quite teenagers yet. I myself am a solid millennial, and I was rewatching it the other day, and I still felt awkward with my dad in the house when Davy's writing about having sex with Paxton in her journal.
I cannot
right?
watch this show
cringe
with my parents.
Yes. So
I do.
I don't know
my
how
grandma's
people do that.
pretty diehard Team Ben. My whole family,
Gen
we
Z.
all watch. Not gonna lie.
So that is what I wanted to ask. Have you had an awkward experience with your own family? And or what is your advice to parents and children who might be watching the show together, talking about some of these more adult themes?
Well, as I said, I don't watch this show with my parents. My sister's in here somewhere, and I can't even barely watch it with her. Yeah. She's my younger sister. But I also think that is something that is so cultural. It's I guess.
Funny.
Yeah, it's just been something that's so taboo. I mean, even in Bollywood movies, I remember the first time I saw an on-screen kiss was in Raja Hindustani, and I almost, I was mortified. I was a kid, and it was a kiss, and my parents were around, and I remember I had to leave and pretend like I had to go to the bathroom. And honestly, nothing has changed, and I don't know if that's a good thing, but I genuinely don't have an answer to that question. It's genuinely awkward. But what I do really believe is that And as Poorna mentioned, we have some of the most amazing compliments that we've received about the show have been from mothers or from younger women saying that they watch this show with their mothers, and how it's, even if they don't speak about what they see, or even if it doesn't spark a conversation, it's almost what's unsaid while they're watching it that's created this bond that they've never had before. And I just find that so beautiful.
And also, just to riff on that point, if you're not talking about these issues in your family, which is very common for South Asian families or people of color, mental health, sexuality, someone in your bedroom or your living room has spoken it, and it has been spoken in your house through this show. And so it exists it just exists in the alchemy of the air. So I really think, like, no matter who you are, where you are, you'll find a place in our home, and also find a place in all our conversations.
I love that. Now, Maitreyi, I have met your mom.
Yeah.
I love her. She's amazing. She's the best.
pretty damn cool.
No surprise. Look who she raised. Anything you want to add there?
I mean, I'm the last person to give parenting advice. I'm not a parent.
Give us the younger
But-
person perspective.
What I will say is that over these 4 years, I have learned how absolutely privileged and blessed I am to have the parents that I do. And it's not a Gen Z thing of my parents are really chill with it. It's not. Because I have a lot of friends who can't watch it with their parents either. I'm very, very fortunate. I'm very fortunate that I have a mother and a father who drove me to set every day, stayed on set with me while working full-time jobs. They weren't just chilling. And they were always supportive, never complained. Like, my mom, my dad, their biggest priority when I'm doing a, sexy dream sequence with Paxton, it's funny. First of all, my mom thinks all the writing is hilarious, but their priority is, do you like what you're wearing? Do you feel comfortable doing what you're doing in the scene? And are you okay with what you're saying? Yes? Great. And then if I'm not comfortable, my parents always empower me to speak up. So I have to just shout out my parents, first of all, for that. Because that's give it up for my parents. They're quite cool. Yeah. But what I will say is, one thing that I've learned is that I know people with their parents who maybe English isn't their first language. Their kids will translate the show to their parents because, especially in like Tamil families, they want to see this Tamil girl do whatever she's doing. They have a lot of questions, and yeah, they do. A lot of questions. But it started that conversation in another way too, where like, sure, maybe I've heard of the instances where the mom or the father is teaching the child, okay, this is what this is about. This is what Davey's talking about here. But it's also cool when I see the kid teach the parents. And I think that's awesome. That's what, all art should be about. Just feeling and taking away something, big or small, whatever you want. Yeah.